Okay, we're ready.
Okay, it is 5:30 p.m. and this is the Monday, July 18th, 2022 meeting of the City of Palm Springs Architectural Review Committee. If there's anybody in the audience who's watching us via the internet, please mute your audio. And Mr. Newell, please take roll call.
Member Thompson is excused. Member Walsh.
Here.
Member Payline.
Here.
Member McCoy.
Here.
Member Lockyer. It's not here yet. Member Dozy.
Here.
Vice Chair Rotman is excused. Chair Jakeway.
Here.
Okay, we have a quorum.
May we have a staff report on the posting of the agenda, please?
Yes, Chair Jakeway and committee members, our agenda was posted on Thursday, July 14th, 2022. Our meeting has been posted in accordance with state law.
Thank you. Does the committee have any revisions to the agenda? Seeing none, do we have a motion to accept the agenda?
Motion to accept.
That was Steve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by John. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you. And I'd like to note that Sean has now joined us.
Thanks.
Since this is a public meeting, audience members are permitted to comment on any issue that is within this committee's purview. Comments on an item appearing on today's agenda are made at the time that that item is presented. If anybody would like to speak on an item that is not on today's agenda, please let yourself be known. Okay, I don't see any. We'll move ahead. We do not have any previous minutes to review at this meeting, so we can move right to our agenda. And item number 1, Farrell Drive PS LLC for a major architectural application to construct a 64,092 square foot self-storage facility on a 4.2 acre undeveloped parcel located at 900 North Farrell Drive. Could we have a staff report, please?
Yes. One second, alrighty. All right, so just for a little bit of a refresher, the applicant is proposing a self-storage facility on North Farrell Road, and it is highlighted in yellow here. You can see that it's adjacent to residential units on the west and industrial buildings on the north, east, and south sides. The project, this is a view from Farrell and Computer Way as you were going north towards, going north up Farrell. This is what the site looks like currently. Last time we met, ARC had discussed some issues with the proposed project, namely issues with the parking within the fire lanes, lack of landscape on the north, the use of oleander trees and some other vegetation, height of light poles, the enhancing of the perimeter wall and concealing the roof drains within the building walls. So the applicant did submit some solutions to those concerns. This is the new proposed site plan. They did remove the parking between building 1 and building 3. So that's where the red line is. It shows that that's an open fire lane and there shouldn't be any parking within that lane. They did add 2 parking stalls near this loading area that's highlighted in yellow, so that vehicles can park there out of the fire lane, unload their storage, and then just drive away. So that's one solution. They also expanded the landscape area within the project walls. This area up here used to just have nothing. So they've added more landscaping within this area, some extra loading zones. So that would definitely conceal the RVs parked along this elevation. And then they did replace some of the trees with other trees as stated on the slide and within the staff report. Ooh, sorry, 1 second. I think the plan that you have might have a little bit of a inaccuracy. So they are reducing the power poles all along North Farrell, sorry, the light poles. These 7 light poles are, they say 25 feet, but they're actually reducing them to 20 feet high. So they've reduced the size of that and the wall. So they did not change any of the wall along Farrell. They're going to continue to keep it split faced, as you can see in the corner here with the columns, and split face CMU block wall mainly. It's still going to undulate, and it's going to be hidden with some landscaping as well. There's just another view of the proposed. And they did want to add that, so Farrell Drive and the site, they do slope downward as you're going down Farrell. So it starts off at 469 and it kind of ends at 464 along the site. The site does sit a little slower than, it sits lower than North Farrell Drive. So by 4 to 1 feet. So that it is not at the same height, which would provide for additional screening of the RVs. That concludes my report. Staff recommends approval subject to conditions, and the applicant is available to answer any questions.
Thank you, Alex. Does anybody on the committee have questions for staff? Seeing none, is the applicant present? Please give us your name, and you have 10 minutes to present your project.
Thank you, Chair Jakeway and fellow commissioners, and thank you for your time and dedicated service to the community. And Alex, thanks for the great presentation. Hello again, my name is Eric Iguchi, and I am the project applicant. As staff mentioned, our project team incorporated multiple revisions based upon your input at the June 6th ARC hearing. We think your comments have added or helped us design a better project that will also enhance the existing street scene along Farrell Drive, as well as enhance traffic circulation within the property. To clarify one comment from Alex, we never had contemplated parking between 1 and 3. We heard a concern from the commission, from the committee, that people will park between 1 and 3, buildings 1 and 3. That will be the large one, and the long linear north-south drive-up building. And then we'll block fire access. Accordingly, we are restricting or eliminating the drive-up units on building 1. So people still could stop their vehicle along building 3 as they unload their property into the storage unit, but at least you won't have vehicles stopping both sides now. With respect to the perimeter wall along Farrell Drive, the team did consider a few different patterns, a different color block wall. However, we did feel like it was our opinion that a pattern block wall would distract from the landscaping within the parkway, which had been enhanced. The background of a pattern wall we thought would be visually busy and would distract passerbys from all the landscaping that would now go into that parkway. We look forward to working with the city in the development of this project. I'll be around to answer any questions. Thank you again for your time and consideration.
Thank you. At this point, we can have public comments. Does anybody from the public have comments to make on this particular project? I seem not. Questions from the committee for the applicant? I have a question. Eric, as we look at the site plan on your sheet 2, the RVs that are parked along Farrell, as you get to the southern half of your property, you have a dimension of 48 feet for the pavement between the back of the RV parking space and the building. Can that road be shifted so that it's closer to the building, so that the RV parking spaces could be brought 4 or 5 feet further into your lot away from the wall to give an opportunity for landscaping between the front of the RVs and the wall?
I'm not sure. I think that may impact turning radiuses. We probably have 2 feet between the RV stall themselves and that right of way for that street.
Right.
But I don't want to commit to that without knowing the turning radius for fire and how that gets impacted.
Yeah, I think as you look at the top of the sheet, the north end of that driveway, there's a very steep turning radius, and the one on the bottom is much softer. So I would hope that you could do that to gain some landscaping there.
I'm worried about, because if we move that road further east, I wonder if it wonder if it impacts the turning radius to the north. That's what I was concerned about.
Okay.
But yeah, we can certainly look at that. That's not a big deal.
And one of my other questions is the height of the parapet wall on building number 1. It's quite tall, and I don't see, and you can see that on your section BB. Is there any reason that it needs to be that tall? I mean, I can understand that maybe you're trying to hide the screening on the mechanical units, but if you have a nice screening, it's okay if those show, but I think you could drop the height of that wall several feet. And then you could also, by doing that, maybe where you have the little pop outs, you don't drop those so much. So you get a better undulation in the height of the building, and the overall massing of the building would be smaller. Is there any reason you would not want to do that?
I'm sorry, I'm trying to find the section. You're saying.
Okay, look
section,
on your sheet 2.1.
2.1.
Okay.
Section BB.
Yeah, okay.
You can see how the parapet walls there are at least 4 foot high, it seems.
On that sloped shed roof, or just on the parapet
No,
wall?
on building 1.
Yeah, I think that is screened. Let our architects on the line, she can address why we may have a higher parapet there. Shab, did you have any input? She may need to be unmuted. Alex, Shab, S-H-A-B.
I just asked on.
I had to call in. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
We can hear
Oh,
you.
okay. Yes, we are in the rooftop units. So if I can understand a little bit better why you would request that, is it because of the massing? Is that what I understand, or is the fact that the parapet's too high, the building's too tall?
Well, the massing to me is that the building is too tall, but also you've got a couple of little frames, I'm going to call them pop outs, that protrude from the face of that building towards the street. But they're only 1 foot different in height than the rest of that parapet wall. If they could be several feet different in height, and if the pop outs could come towards the street, it looks like in your setback map, there's at least 1 or 2 more feet that the pop outs could come towards the street. So we get a better undulation on the facade of that building and the height of the building.
On the east elevation, correct?
Correct, yes.
Yeah, we could bring the parapet down a bit. I don't know if we have thoroughly studied where the ridge, how high the ridge is against the parapet. So we can look at that and then reduce the parapet a little bit. And so therefore we would have screens. If the rooftop units are visible, we would have to screen them. Are you guys okay with that?
Yes, many buildings in town have a metal screening around the mechanical equipment. That's my questions. Other staff members, committee members have questions for the applicant. Tom Dosey.
I have a couple questions regarding the landscape plan or site plan. Number 1 is on the northwest corner of the site. There's a large landscape area within the project, and the wall just seems to follow the setback line or property line. And I was wondering, if that wall could be cut back more at a corner angle and give more of that landscape area to the public side of the street rather than just coming to that acute angle that it's at. And then secondly, there is like a clear demarcation, like a linear demarcation between, the proposed landscape and then the existing native landscape that's in the hatched area. And I feel there could be a stronger transition into that area, either by adding some native trees or tree forms within that. So it's not such a clear demarcation, and it could utilize some native trees and landscapes to supplement that area.
Yeah, frankly, yes to both. On the corner wall, that's a much better design. I think if we move that wall back, made it more, I guess, blunt, for lack of a better term, and not too sharp, I think that's probably the right thing to do there. So yeah, we'll commit to that. And then with respect to the native land area that's demarcated as existing native landscaping, we'll incorporate more enhanced native trees and shrubs there as well.
Okay, thank you.
Committee members, other questions for applicant?
Yes.
John McCoy.
Okay. Let's see, a few basics on some of the lighting. Can we add a glare shield to your specification for the pole mounted lights? I see it. If you look at your spec within the page, just to the right of the actual fixture, there is a glare shield specification there.
Yeah.
Okay. And then timing. What's your closing time?
What do you mean closing time?
What time is the tenants no longer allowed?
Oh, excuse me. I believe I answered that last time, but let me make sure I'm answering it correctly. One moment. As I search for that, yeah, these properties no longer stay open 24 hours or have 24-hour access to the facilities because of vandalism and theft.
Well, what my point is can we reduce the lumen output of the fixtures after closing hours? And, with technology, there should be capabilities to have a 50 or 70% reduction. Then if you have some kind of motion detectors or something, in case you have security problems, have them pop back up.
Sure, we'll happy to look into that. That's a cost savings for us, subject to, I guess, building code and health and safety requirements.
Okay, and then in the specifications of the photometric specifications, there is a line that says, let's see, wattage equal to or better lumens per watt. You're reserving the right to up the lumens, which means basically making the site brighter. So I don't quite understand why that spec is there. We've got a photometric site given to us.
Yeah, this is a bit outside of my scope. Happy to circle back with you on that one, but I would have to assume that our electrical engineer is providing specs of the code. But we'll certainly.
Yeah, your photometric plan is pretty bright. I don't think you need to up the lumen output based on what you got here. Nobody will have a problem. It's just paving and walls. So there's not a whole lot of objects to run into. And then how tall is a motorhome typically?
Well, typically, they're about the size. I mean, it just depends on multiple factors. I mean, I think typically we'll see a motorhome the size of, like an Airstream trailer is what we typically expect here. or some sort of towed motorhome. So that's probably about 10 to 11 feet or 10 feet, you know, but you could have those large, very expensive motorhomes, which we frankly probably won't have here because those tend to go into enclosed facilities. You have a similar one in Palm Springs. I think those are at a height of 14 feet, I believe.
Okay. I appreciate that you brought the poles down from 25 to 20. Can you reduce some a bit more? We've still got residential across the street and you've got 6 of them right along.
Yep. We certainly can. We'll do whatever within the code allows.
Yeah, because they're far higher than even the building and they're closer to the road and will certainly stand out. So that's what I've got for the moment.
Eric, I have a question that kind of dovetails onto what John was just asking. How long is a motorhome? Your spaces here are 20 feet by 30 feet. I don't have a motorhome, so I don't know, but it seems to me like they're longer than 30 feet.
Well, if they're longer than 30 feet or longer than the spaces provided, they're not going into the, they're not going to be able to park there.
Okay.
But again, it ranges, it's across the board. It could be a small trailer, you know, that's just, you know, just a little flat trailer that's, you know, 10 feet, you know, and the big ones get big, you know, the size of a bus. But again, we don't, if they're not going to fit in the parking space, they're not going to be able to rent a space. And then 2, that type of product or that type of a vehicle, just, we aren't anticipating getting that kind of renter here.
Yep, I get it. Okay. Any other questions from the committee? Okay, Eric, thank you very much. We will have our discussion. Thoughts, committee members? I think that there's still a little uncertainty. There was mention somewhere about a berm along Farrell that isn't really shown on the drawings, but there will be a berm, and I think we need more definition on that. I think the pilasters of the wall that are white with the wall being brown, that it's too much of a contrast. It just really calls out this rhythm of white columns. For the same reason you didn't want to use pattern block, I think I would stay away from the white block because it tends to affect the subtleness of the wall. And lowering the bulk of the main building, I think would really help this overall. And roof drains / downspouts. It appears on the plan sheet 3.1 that the roof of the main building, the larger building, is drained with roof drains. But then on the other buildings, it looks like they are downspouts on the wall. And you can especially see that on drawing 4.1. And then I had a question on the exterior elevations on sheet, well, they aren't labeled. But you're building 4. In fact, you have 2 different elevations labeled for building 4 and none labeled for building 3. But the east elevation of the second page building 4, there's a horizontal brown line, and then there's vertical brown lines between every 4 doors. Is that a gutter and a drainage system? What is that?
John, could you field that?
Yes. Yes. Building 4 north elevation
Yep.
on the second page. Yes, those are downspouts.
And is that a gutter that's running along the length of the building also?
Correct. It sheet flows.
And the same thing appears on the next page where you've labeled the building 4 again, but I guess it's really building 3 east elevation. Those are exposed downspouts and gutters.
Correct. The drive-up buildings on both sides will need to have gutters and downspouts in order to get the water off the, you know, get the water off the roof.
So is there no parapet along the edge of those buildings? The water just sheet flows off the building onto the gutters?
Correct. There is parapet at the end. Got a standing seam roof. And it sheet flows down to a gutter and a downspout.
A standing seam metal roof?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. To continue our discussion, committee members, other comments or discussion items? Sean, do you have anything?
Nope.
I think you're muted. Sean?
No, sorry about that. No.
Okay. Anybody else have any comments? Do we have a motion?
Chairman, I'll take an attempt at one.
Okay, John?
Approval with a few conditions that,
Having trouble hearing you, John.
Yeah, you're muffled.
sorry. I move for approval with a series of conditions that I can list off here.
Sure, please.
Okay, so I took some notes of, first of all, of the addition of a berm along Farrell. Lowering of the parapet. Do we want to specify how much?
I'd say at least 2 feet.
Okay. The elimination of the white block. The vertical columns that you indicated. Lowering of the light standards below 20 feet. And the adding of a light shield. Incorporation of it. Did we have anything else on landscape?
Adding some desert landscaping along the north side.
Correct, Tom. Go ahead.
Yeah, and then also the corner cutback at the northwest corner of the wall to open more landscape area towards the street at that corner. And that would be a good place where they can start their berm and then pick up a pattern going down Farrell.
And that's it, Mr. Chairman,
I
I
think
think.
that covers it. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Mr. Dosey. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Eric, thank you for your team listening to our comments from the previous meeting. We appreciate it.
Thank you. It's a better project for it. Thank you.
And the one thing I would ask is if you can investigate to see if that road parallel to Farrell can be slightly bent just to get a little extra landscaping.
Will do.
Not a
Thank you.
requirement, but just a request. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we are moving ahead to new business. Item number 2, Cappy Architects on behalf of Michael Shabazz and Brian Glazer for major architectural and administrative minor modification applications to construct a 6,180 square foot single-family home on a 19,602 square foot hillside lot located at 850 South Las Palmas. Staff report, please.
Can I interrupt for a moment, Tom?
Yes, Sean.
This project, I feel like may have it's a kind of just a little bit muddy about my involvement with the project across the street and my potential involvement with the project before this project really ensued. So I feel like I would prefer to just sideline for this one.
I think to err on the side of caution makes sense, and I appreciate your openness with that. So Sean will be recusing himself for this particular project.
Yeah. How you doing, Finn?
Good, Sean. We will miss your comments. Maybe you'll give me a few offline.
I sure can. Be happy to.
Thank you.
Talk to you soon.
All right.
Mhm. Bye.
Okay, thank you.
Bye for now.
Staff report?
Yes, let me share my screen. Okay, the proposed project is a new hillside single-family residence, which is 6,180 square feet. The proposed residence includes 4,180 square foot of the primary portion of the residence and 1,190 square foot ADU and a 470 square foot garage and 340 gym. And the size of the lot is 19,602 square feet. And the proposed lot coverage is 31.5%. And the applicant's proposing the maximum building height of 16.1 feet. Staff would like to note that this height does not include the chimney, which is about 3 feet. The proposed building height at the rear and the side yard setbacks is about 13 feet, measured from the building height measurement point, which is established at elevation of 592 feet. And so it projects the maximum building height limit by a foot at the rear, and applicant has submitted AMM for this. This is an area view of the project site. The project site was previously developed with a tennis court to serve the adjacent lot at 1350 Ladera Circle, which is a Class 1 historic property. The tennis court has been removed, and this is what the property looks like as of today. And the site's topography slopes down from its from northwest corner towards the southeast corner, and the elevation difference is approximately 15 feet. And these are the images of the site submitted by the applicant. The upper image shows the view of the project site from the north. As you see a vacant area, that's where the tennis court used to be. And when the property is viewed from the adjacent street, you see these the boulders and the landscaping, and there's quite a bit of elevation difference there, particularly at the perimeter of the property. And these are the views of the surroundings taken from the project site. And this is just to show the site plan or what's being proposed here. As I mentioned, the residence is a 4,180 square feet, and it's going to include the ADU, gym and office and the garage in the back. And in front of the residence, the applicant is proposing a covered patio and a freestanding structure, and there will be a pool as well. The driveway will be leading from the end of the cul-de-sac, and the project proposes a primary entrance to the residence as well as a secondary, which extends from the driveway to the rear of the house. The proposed residence includes 4 bedrooms, library, media room, kitchen, dining, and living room, and so forth. This is just a floor plan. And this is a roof plan. The proposed roof line is tiered, and applicants proposing solar panels, and the roof design includes some trellis, as you see here. And applicant is proposing to install landscaping on the perimeter of the project site. The image that's shown on the left side is the corner cutback area of this property. The proposed landscape design kind of follows the property line to outline the project site, as well as a row of olive trees right next to the pool. And these are the elevation drawings of the proposed residence. The applicant is proposing a mix of materials such as weathered and painted steel, concrete, gravel, plaster, and the overall color palette is desert neutral, so that it's appropriate for the desert surroundings. And these are the examples, material samples for the project. And the color of the roof will be tan, as you see here on the left side. And proposed residence, as I mentioned, the height of the residence is 16.1 feet, which excludes a chimney height of 3 feet. typically building height is taken from the average grade at the GSM property. However, for hillside projects, the director or the planning commission may establish the point of measurement. In this case, the point of measurement is set at the elevation of 592 feet. That's where the majority of the house is going to be located. And these are just a comparison of the adjacent properties that are submitted by the applicant. Based on the information presented, staff estimates the eye level at 803 West Stevens to be approximately 617.4 feet. And the top of the residence, the elevation is noted as a 608.8. So therefore, the property in the back is quite a bit taller than what's being proposed here at the site. And the image below is to show the relation between the proposed project and the 1350 Ladder Circle. Eye level at 1350 Ladder Circle is estimated to be 604.25 feet. And the garage, which is the closest to the GSM property, its top is about 605 feet in elevation. And applicants submitted additional renderings to show how the views going to be taken from the GSM property at 777 Camino Norte, 803 West Stevens. And sorry, I cannot see the last one, the address here. Let me check very quickly. The address is 835 West Stevens. And the applicant also added the landscape details of what the rear property is going to look like. So based on the presented information, staff finds that the project generally meets the required findings of the architectural and hillside review criteria, and project meets environment standards except for the building height at the rear and the side yard setbacks, as what they're proposing is 13 feet measured from the point of measurement, whereas only 12 is permitted at the setback. AMM applications be submitted for the 1 foot building height projection, and the staff finds that the request for AMM approval is justified by the site's geography. At the same time, the staff finds that there are some minor landscape design issues, such as the straight line of a dwarf olive and the placement or the installation pattern of Moga, the acacia, which defines a property line, as well as the planting materials that are proposed for the corner cutback area, which exceed 3.5 feet in height. However, these issues can be easily corrected without altering the character or the nature of the project. And for this reason, staff recommends that the ARC approve the project subject to the conditions of approval in Exhibit A, which include the following. Reduce and rearrange the row of dwarf olive near the pool. Dwarf olive shall be installed more sparsely for a more natural appearance, and Moga along the south property line shall be installed in such a manner that the trees do not define the property line. And the new planting materials that exceed 3.5 feet in height shall be located at the corner cutback area, except for the existing California compound. And this concludes our staff presentation, and applicant and the property owner are both available this evening. And it is my understanding that the applicant has a presentation to share to the ARC this evening. Thank you.
Okay, first of all, we'll do questions from the committee for staff. Is there any questions from the committee? John Walsh.
Mr. Chairman, just a couple for Noriko. With respect to the ADU, I thought that there was relief in terms of any parking requirement. You had mentioned that there would be one space for the ADU. Is that correct?
That is correct. ADU is not required to provide a parking if it meets a certain conditions. One of the very common one is that there's a bus stop within 0.5 mile from the
right. Okay.
In this, and based on the measurement that staff took by looking at the sunline map, site was slightly out of it. However, the project site and the project is proposing a driveway which is able to accommodate a one parking space.
And I'm just graphically, does it slide in closer to the front property line there? I'm not,
The area that I was referring to is pretty much the end of the driveway towards the garage entrance. So ADU is not required to provide a covered parking, just for
no,
clarification, right?
right, okay. And then I just kind of had a question on the setbacks. Was there any discussion in terms of where front is as opposed to, it looks like they.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
So this, as you see, this project size is odd in terms of the shape.
Yes,
Front, based on the definition of a corner lot, front is on, just see, front is on the south Via Las Palmas side,
and that would be because it's the longest,
because it's the shorter
frontage.
side.
It's the shorter side, okay.
Shorter side becomes a frontage. So in this
Got
case,
it.
Via Las Palmas side is a frontage.
Mhm.
And Ladera Circle side becomes the side. But again, this is a curved lot. And so as the sideline extends towards the rear, meaning adjacent to 1350 Ladera Circle, right
Right.
next to it, it's going to be a reduced side yard setback. So the rear is entirely on the north side.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Noriko.
You come.
Noriko, kind of related to that, a large portion of the swimming pool is in the front yard setback. Are swimming pools allowed in the front yard setback, or do they have a certain distance that they need to be from the property line if they are in the front yard setback?
Yes, so the required setback for a pool is 5 feet. Excuse me, actually it's been, yes, for front it's 5 feet from the property line, even if it's in the front.
Okay, thank you. Other questions of staff? Thank you, Noriko. If the applicant would please give us your name. I guess we're going to get two presentations, one from the design team and one from the owner. So you guys choose who goes first.
Michael, do you want to go first or do you want me to go first? I
And you
guess
can go.
Okay, I'll go first. I'd like to share my screen. If that's okay?
Yes.
Okay. Let me, there we go. I think I can do this. Can you see that?
Yes.
Okay, this is the drawing package, basically. So I just want to give a brief introduction to the project. My name is Finn Cappy, and the owners are Michael Shabazz and Brian Glazer, who came to us after seeing our somewhat recently finished project at Desert Palisades. And they really appreciated what happened there. And so we were trying to give them some of that flavor in terms of the integrity of the architecture, some of the steel post and beam work for the main space in the middle. You can see where the high roof is here. And then at the wings, changing it, not so much weathered steel, sort of having more weathered steel relative to landscape and filtering up into the site and using a little more plaster in this case. I just wanted to reference, if I could, a couple of the Desert Palisades images, if that's okay. And some of these things are applicable in terms of program. The building opening up and stepping down to a pool area. In the case of Villa Las Palmas, of course, we don't have the endless beauty of Desert Palisades down below us, but we do have the palm tree heads, and what you'll see us doing is trying to filter with landscape to kind of soften that view over the roadway. Some of the other approaches are similar. Here's the steel post and beam exposed structure. This space, the middle of that house, is somewhat akin to what we're trying to give Michael and Brian in the new home. And this is the southerly view. again, somewhat similar to what Michael and Brian have. What I wanted to move on to for a moment is the issue of neighborhood and where we're located. We're looking down on the old tennis court site of the Alexander home, which you see here jutting out. And then on the left, you can see the sloping roof of the of 840 Las Palmas. It's interesting. I think one of the owners, Brian, has history here and knows the owner. His uncle knew the owner. He was actually in this house when he was a young man. So it's kind of fun to have that connection in the neighborhood, that making it more personal. We enjoy that. So the issue here is the main view for everyone, and we wanted to focus on that for just a moment. We got very positive letters of support for the design from the immediate owners, left and right, and the next house down on Ladera Circle as well. So we really appreciate that they're comfortable with what we're proposing in every way. Above us, 20 feet above us, from this pad level up to Stevens Road, we wanted to share perspective views because there's some concern expressed about view corridors and such. I think you can see from this beautiful image that the view is up here, you know, this incredible panorama that becomes available even more so from 20 feet higher. So nonetheless, we tried to study. You saw this quickly with Nora Cove. I want to go through this again. Here is 803 Stevens. Basically, the pad heights are 20 feet different to our established pad height, 592. By the way, that is the tennis court elevation. So we merely matched that height. We didn't go above it or below it. And you can actually see if you look down here from 840 to 850 to 1350, it steps up quite a bit. We're not in the middle of these two properties, are we? We're actually very close to 840. So again, this is to us, this is very neighborly. This is kind of a gentle way of presenting the house in the neighborhood. And that was our intention pretty much. So you can see the sight lines clearly go right above the house. There's no interruption until, you know, the presence is not available until you look downward, in fact. So that's what we wanted to show you. Another view, including, importantly, 803's proposed landscape, palm trees to the easterly side, Palo Verde coming towards us at the westerly side, which really, if done this way, will filter even these rooftops down below like that. An overall view, we're now looking south from Stevens above towards our site and Via Las Palmas and Ladera Circle here, Alexander home here. And these three homes were of particular concern. We wanted to show images taken really from Google Earth and then superimposing the proposed house. As you can see, there's solar collectors on all the roofs of the neighborhood, and we're intending to do pretty much the same as necessary in an organized, orderly way right here. So first of all, this is our attempt to show you 835 West Stevens. If you look carefully, you can see the house down here. This is the high roof, the chimney, and the clear stories. And all the rest is pretty much above. This is the great panorama view that's available from above us. This is 803 West Stevens. And as I mentioned, the palm trees in Palo Verde will do a good job of filtering the view. This is the proposed fence and stack bond CMU property line wall with landscaping intertwined, a bougainvillea there. So again, their view, they have this amazing view of the mountain ridge, don't they, and sky and everything else, and the palm tree heads. And then we're down here. And finally, from above us, sorry about this alien plant here. We couldn't edit that out of the view and show you both 840 Via Las Palmas and our site 850. So we thought that was most important. Here's the Alexander roof here, our proposed 840. And this is the view from 777 Cam Norte. And back to our panorama view here. The other thing that we wanted to touch on preemptively, I guess, for clarification purposes, is the ADU height issue. As you can see in these elevations, the site slopes up and steps up from the street to the north property line. From our pad height of 592, the site goes up 8 feet to a maximum of 600. So there's an 8-foot step up that's happening. And so what we tried to do here is just step up as we go. The pool deck is lower, then we step up a couple feet to the main house, 1 more foot internally, and then another couple feet to get back to here and minimize our grading. You can see the garage is still dug in a bit and we have some retaining to do here. And then we did excavate a bit to get a backyard out of the ADU. That's the reason we're requesting the additional foot, as you may already understand. Here's the site survey, Via Las Palmas to the right here. Here's where the old tennis court was, hovering around 592. And then you can see it's steeply starting to march up in the back with the high point here at 600 elevation, as I described a moment ago. The other couple of elements that Noriko suggested that I clarify and talk to with you all is around the pool deck area. The shade structure, the issue of the little ollie landscaping idea, which we like their recommendation. That's kind of our intention. It didn't come across quite that way on our plan. It looks more hedge-like on our plan than we intended. We intended that to be a mixture of site boulders and the dwarf olives to create some privacy and try to avoid a heavy wall or fence element there. The shade structure discuss. Oh, and I think we have a image of that intention, something like this. So I think this is what the recommendation, the condition will push us towards, which in a way is really what we wanted anyway. So we appreciate those comments. In terms of the shade structure here, we noted on our materials plan 2 options, fabric or, excuse me, or perforated metal. And that's because we haven't done all our detail work and research yet. And if you're comfortable with it, if the chair and the committee is comfortable with it, we wouldn't mind to go forward with 2 options. If not, if you want us to select one tonight, then we'd happily say we would prefer the perforated metal and hope that we can move forward. The last element would be the pool enclosure. To clarify that, we're going to use this weathered steel and board form concrete wall on the west edge, which is 5 feet minimum high from the outside of the wall. And then the intent is to have ASTM certified mesh pool safety fencing that just is following our dashed red line here and enclosing the rest of the pool area, and would look schematically like that. And then I wanted to just close for now with this image from Ladera Circle, which again shows you kind of the desert garden that we're intending to achieve on the street for really the public, you know, because the owners, they can see it when they come and go, but the intent is to have this be kind of a nice garden, desert garden feeling with some color, succulent color, and a layered feeling on up to where these staggered ollies and boulders will be placed at the pool. So I'd be happy to answer any questions you have and clarify anything about the plan and the layout. Oh, I wanted to also say that from this corner of the street right here, the house itself is set back 75 feet, which is a pretty good setback to allow for the pool and the deck. And that's it for now. And if you have questions, like I said, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
Finn, before we have questions for you, let's hear the presentation from the owners, if we may. Could you please give us your names?
Hi, this is Brian Glasser, and I'm here with my partner, Michael Shabazz. We don't have a presentation, but wanted to just say that this is a big moment for Michael and me. We've been thinking about this day for a very long time. As Finn alluded, I spent a lot of time in Palm Springs as a kid. My uncle was a tab hunter, and he was very good friends with Frank Carroll, who lived right next door to this house. So I've been coming to this place for a very, very long time, and I never thought in my wildest dreams we'd be building our dream home here to spend our lives and raise our family. So we, from the get-go, took a lot of care and thoughtfulness with Finn to really figure out how we can build a home that that fits into this beautiful neighborhood in a way that doesn't, conflict with any of the amazing architecture. I mean, we're next to the Elvis house, for gosh sake. So we really wanted to make sure that we did something that that met the standards and the prestige of this beautiful space. So looking forward to hearing your questions and your feedback, and hope to be able to address any questions that you might have.
Great, thank you, Brian and Michael.
Sure.
At this point, we have public comments. Is there anybody from the public who is in the waiting room who would like to speak regarding this project? Seeing none, let's go now for questions from the committee members to the applicant. Questions? I'll start. I have a couple of questions. What is the reason for having the steel fence right on the property line? This is in a neighborhood that's not really an estate lot neighborhood, so I can't think of another lot in this neighborhood that has a fence on the property line. And in my opinion, it really takes away from the elegance of the front of the house. It's kind of a brutal, just flat panel steel fence. What's your reasoning and thinking for that? Finn, you're muted, Finn.
Thank you.
There you
Sorry
go.
about that. Excuse me. Yeah, so let's see. I think my screen share stopped. I don't know if you have drawings or anything in front of you, but in the front of the house, we actually don't have a fence or
Well,
anything.
I mean a long Ladera circle.
Okay, yeah, exactly. Along Ladera Circle, I think the feeling was in part, you're right, it's a little different, but if you stand in Ladera Circle for about 10 minutes on almost any day, you get a bunch of buses driving in there looking at the Elvis honeymoon house. So there's an issue of privacy and a bit of security on that edge of the property. And I think that's really what drove this proposal. It's the height of this is not that high, and it's intended to sort of blend with, again, with boulders and plants, but hold the line a little bit. You know how people are. They're happy to walk up into your property to get a higher view and take a different photo angle. And I don't think Michael and Brian wanted to invite that by having nothing there. But I'm with you in a way. Fewer fences are better. Don't love the question, but I think that's the best answer I could give you at this time.
Makes sense. A question about your plan. If I'm looking on sheet A 1.0 at the master bedroom area,
Yeah.
It indicates out in front of the master bedroom. In fact, look on A 2.1. In front of the master bedroom, I can't quite figure out what is happening underneath the roof line. There's some vertical lines that aren't identified. There's an area that says FP that I assume is a fireplace, but I don't know if that's a full height. But then when you look back on the previous sheet I mentioned, there's actually translucent glass doors out there that aren't shown on this floor plan. So can you explain what's going on in there, please?
Yes. I'll try. I think I can. Yeah, and on this plan, that's a good point. The outer glazing is, well, it's very subtle, or it's so subtle it's kind of turned off and missing. But that space out in front of the primary bedroom is accessible only from the bedroom, and it's a little garden courtyard with a reflecting pool in the middle of it.
Okay.
And then beyond it, to the outer edge, are some translucent glass panels that can pivot and open up and get the long view beyond the space itself. We have a model we could share if that's not clear.
No, I think I get it. And finally, the shade structure. It seems to me being maybe 3 feet, I'm not sure exactly how much lower than the finished floor of the living room, that it makes your eye looking right into the roof of that shade structure. Was there any consideration of increasing the size of the patio up at the living room level so that the shade structure could be at that level, and it would provide protection to the large windows in the living room, but it would also prevent the shade structure from blocking the view as you're looking out of the house?
Yeah, we studied that pretty well, and we looked at longer cantilevers. There was a real desire to step down from the living space to the pool deck. And so doing that, somewhat like our Desert Palisades project, to get that differentiation and more privacy also, by the way, I think. That left with a condition of umbrellas for shade, or then this proposal of a shade structure, which with steel structure should be very, very lean in profile. So at that point, it seemed like if you located the shade level at eye level, it would have the slimmest profile, and you would really have access to the majority of the view still, rather than looking up or down on a diaphragm of perforated metal or fabric.
Thanks, Finn. That's my questions. Other committee members have questions? John Walsh.
Yes, there was a graphic that you showed, I think it was in section or 3D, with a fence atop the pool wall. Could you explain that condition? Did I misunderstand?
I think it was to the side of the pool wall. So it will be located in the dirt, in the earth, not on top of the pool. The pool edge is actually supposed to be kind of a mini infinity edge, negative pool edge. So the far side of the pool is very smooth and just water. So anything like that would necessarily be founded in the earth and not attached to the pool itself.
So as I look at sections and elevations on A3.1, this is what we would see. There would not be an additional fence atop the bond beam of the pool, let's say.
Not on the bond beam, but you aren't, well, the west elevation is 100% what you would see.
Right.
The east elevation, number 3, you can see the board form concrete wall beyond.
Yes.
And a water spill feature,
Right.
which is where the pool is located. And then what is not shown is one vertical line just beyond the south edge of the pool, which would be our enclosure line.
Okay, and that would sit atop
That would be in the dirt, but it would not go higher than the concrete. So it would match height of the concrete. It wouldn't stick up above anything like that.
Okay.
But it's
And
5 feet. It's 5 feet above the water line of the pool, though, correct?
5 feet per code. I'll tell you, I thought it was measured from the opposite side of the fence, the low side, as if you're coming up towards that fence.
Correct. It's measured from the side you would be standing on.
Yeah, if you weren't invited in.
Yep.
By the way, Chair, I see in west elevation here, you can see the weathered steel fence is a little bit of a running fence, sloping downward on A3.1 with the cul-de-sac slope of the street. So it's also a little bit of a curved element against the square elements and responding to the curves of the cul-de-sac itself and making that transition from street to home.
Well, the only thing I might suggest is if that curved fence was pulled a little inboard from the property line so you could get a little more landscaping. But I would also say don't put any boulders out there because people will stand on the boulders to peek over.
Okay.
I want to continue my comments and also echo what Chairman Jakeway had indicated with respect to the fence. I have to tell you, your elevations look terribly settled. This is a very mannered building. It's very handsome. And I think, unfortunately, when I look at the steel fence, it takes away from how effectively and how thoughtfully that your site planning has paid off. So I realize it's a functional challenge around that. I just I don't think it's a helpful aesthetic for the overall elevation.
Hmm.
That's it.
Other committee members have questions for the applicant?
I have a question
Tom Dosey.
regarding the grading. Yes, regarding the grading plan. It shows on the site grading plan that there are retaining walls that extend from the structure out towards the east property line wall. So as the structure itself steps down the slope, how is that transition made, between those different levels? Is it just each section is its own level and there's no ability to walk around the back that way, or steps in between those different retaining walls?
Okay, I don't know. Do you have access to the drawings, Tom?
Yes, yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
Okay, so I was looking still at the elevations and looking at number 3, the east elevation. And this, if you see that, you can see that these are kind of more terraces than retaining walls per se. Technically anything under 3 feet is not a retaining wall. And these are less than 3 feet. And the one that goes up higher is because we're trying to create some separation between the ADU and the main house with a slightly taller wall. But that's for privacy and separation intentionally. But other than that, it just they just are more like landscape terrace walls.
Okay.
And the
so
intent,
there would be
the intent too, sorry, is that each of these bedrooms on the east elevation, in fact, every room in the house has its own outside space or courtyard. And that's something that we like about the layout of the design. The ADU has a yard to the north. The main house, all the bedrooms facing east have their own side yard gardens, and the main bedroom has its own courtyard to get outside into. So we just are trying to step up slightly with the site and make that happen.
Okay, so any transition would occur then within the structure and not outside. Those are separate, like levels.
Yeah, well, you can actually move easily between all of them except the ADU right now. And I remember talking about that in terms of access around the site, and I'd have to look back at the plan quickly. I don't think we really put that in yet to have continuous stairs all around the site on the east side. You have access really from the driveway around the back and the north of the site. That happens, that's very available.
Okay, yeah, because it looks like the ADU is at 595, and then it steps to 593, and then to the main living space at 592.
Exactly. Just trying to modulate mostly with the site stepping up towards the north.
Okay, thank you.
I have another question. The existing driveway that leads up to the tennis court is basically a cut in that curving topography along the corner there. And you left that driveway. I think it would seem softer if you filled in that area so that the grade lines continued from the corner all the way around instead of having that groove cut in the bank there.
Well, I agree. We have no intention of leaving that temporary dirt driveway for demolition in place at all.
I just picked that up from the grading plan, so maybe you just, you haven't coordinated those yet.
Yeah, well, thank you. Again, we coordinated as much as we could on the grading plan with Fierro, and we got pretty far with it, but we'll take a second look at that. Thanks for pointing it out.
Okay. Other questions from the committee for the applicant? Okay, thank you very much. We appreciate your presentations, and we will have a discussion.
Thank you.
Committee comments and discussion?
I just have one question for Noriko or for staff.
Yes.
On the request for the corner cutback height, would that, there are existing palm trees in a couple different groupings around that corner. Would that require them to take those out, or could they remain in place?
existing materials can remain. And we do have a engineering associate this evening. So Rick, do you think, or do you have anything to comment on that in terms of the landscape treatment in the corner car park area?
No, we looked at that and I agree with Noriko. Any existing material we would allow to stay there. But any new material, we don't want to add to the possibility of having a site distance issue. So they would just need to push those back a bit.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Other comments from the committee? Steve, are you going to say something?
Yeah, no, overall, handsome project. I appreciate, after reading some of the comments from the neighbors, I appreciate the focus on looking at sight lines and addressing that. I think that was a noble thing to do. I do agree with Tom about the garden wall. And I was thinking there's a project at the corner of Chino Canyon and West Panorama that handles this, I think, very elegantly, where they sort of integrated the Corten steel panels in with the boulders of the natural landscape. So I think if there was a way you could just sort of just break that up a bit, it would be much more elegant and kind of flow down the hill in a bit more elegant way. But overall, I think the project is gorgeous, and kudos.
Thank you. I totally agree with Steve and have nothing else I would say. I think it's a great project. Other comments? Do we have a motion? Steve, how about you?
Sure. Motion to approve with a condition to look at the Corten fence to make it a little bit more natural in the landscape. I also think the comment about the olive trees to the south of the pool, that sort of linear line needs to be softened a bit. But I think that's the end of my comments.
And can we add to your motion that we are approving the AMM for the height limit of the ADU?
Yes, you may.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second that.
Second, Tom Dosey. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Looks great project. Can't wait to see it done.
Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you all. Okay, have a good evening. Thanks a lot.
Okay, we're moving on to item number 3. James Newhoff, owner for a major architectural review application for the construction of a 5,626 square foot single-family resident on a hillside lot located at 2306 Winter Sun Drive. May we have a staff report, please?
Thank you, Chair. Are you able to see the full screen of the slides?
Yes, it just came up. Thanks.
Great, thank you. So this is a house that is proposed on Lot 6 in Desert Palisades. Looking at some 3D
Glenn,
images of the
Glenn,
house.
You've got both screens on,
Both screens on.
so swap. Yep.
There we go. Sorry about that.
Hey, by the way, before we start, is Sean rejoining or not? Is he still recused?
So having a bit of a struggle with this one too.
Stop doing so much work.
Yeah. We've got a project that's a next door neighbor to this, so I think I can be pretty objective about it.
Yes, you can participate as long as you don't have a financial interest,
No.
ownership interest in the property next to it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then I'm on board. Let's do it.
Okay, thank you, Sean.
All right, so the proposed Lot 6 slopes from a high point to the west to a lower point to the east. And this is a 3D image showing how the house will step down the side of the hillside. Materials that are proposed include Bourne-Ford concrete, different materials, fascia that is a dark bronze, metal black color, glass windows, and aluminum doors and windows. Also, they're using cypress siding in a dark gray color, and then tongue and groove hemlock soffits and a roof color that is a tan gravel. The house is laid out that the garage is entered through a driveway, and the two-car garage is tucked underneath the side of the house so that the garage door is not visible from the street. There is a guest room that will face the street itself, and we'll go through some of those images. This is an image of the outdoor recreational space showing the wing of the house is to the west as the living, kitchen, dining room area, and then the bedroom on the north side of the property. Also, this is a feel of the interior and the type of wood work that will be used throughout the project. As I mentioned, the garage is tucked underneath the pool because of the sloping conditions, and the guest house is located on the left of the slide. There's a site plan that shows the location of the guest house garage. At the front of the street, there is a large transformer that is shown in this box here. So the driveway will curve around it and enter the motor court. The 7.5-foot no-build easements on both sides of the lot are left untouched and not graded or planted. Once again, the site layout includes the floor plan showing the family room, kitchen, dining room, living room on the west end of the house with the pool and recreational areas in the center, and then each of the bedrooms are located on the north side of the house. In looking at how the building cascades down the side of the slope, it does show a graphic of the heights that are proposed, and the height limit for the building is 18. They're proposing a 13-foot maximum height limit. And this shows how the pillow of the natural grade in the red slopes down the side of the house in the west to east site section. Grading plan shows no disturbance in the no build area and several retaining areas that will be landscaped to collect the water that comes around each of this house. So Chair, that concludes my report, and the applicant is available for comments.
Thank you. Do we have any questions of staff? Glenn, I have more of a comment. There is no landscaping plan in my package. I have an irrigation plan, but nothing that has plant sizes or call out.
It should be number 9, page 9.
Well, that's a site plan, but there's no plant list to say what the plants are or what the sizes are.
All right, let me look through the file while we have a presentation from the applicant, and I'll look.
And while you're doing that, back on their sheet L 2.0, which is labeled irrigation plan, there is a plant list up at the top, but it's very tough to read and it doesn't call out any sizes. Any other questions for staff? Okay, if the applicant is here, give us your name and a presentation, please.
Thank you. My name is Jill Lewis. I'm the architect for this project. I might be able to share a screen and show my landscape plan if you want at some point, but
Jill, if you can find it quicker than me, that would be fine.
Sure. Do you want me to? I'll quickly give an overview of the project, and then if you'd like, I can share screen and show
Perfect.
Show the landscape plan.
Perfect.
As Glenn so kindly introduced the project, it is a U-shaped house. We had projects on each side of us already underway. So in terms of the context, we had a good idea of what we were dealing with. So the U-shaped house with volumes and views tailored to the site. by gently stepping up around the topography was what we decided to do. The outside walls are fairly solid, while the inner walls of this U shape are more transparent, looking into a central courtyard. Each volume of the house is set on a shallow crawl space, and each volume cantilevers a bit to appear a bit lighter on the site, to avoid the existing drainage channel and to reduce the footprint as much as possible. So our resulting form wraps that site with strong horizontal lines facing the street and the adjacent lots, while the back volume, which is the private wing of the house, the bedrooms, we actually have a sloping roof line there following the site, and it's a bit of a nod to the mountains beyond. The house is really organized around this circular path that begins as soon as you enter the site. Guests and residents enter down the drive that Glenn pointed out at the lowest part of the site. You first pass a guest house that feels quite separate, but is connected with a trellis to the garage. So you get a sort of a peek under that trellis to one of the lower terraces. You pass the garage doors, which are very much turned away from the street, and you arrive at a broad shaded entry that's tucked under a fairly generous roof. Entering the house at the front door, you face a stair that tapers to enhance the perspective, and it very gradually ascends the site and serves as a circulation spine for the house. Vestibules lead off of that stair at each landing that lead into the bedrooms and enhance that sense of privacy for each of those bedrooms. Glass on the courtyard side of that stair gradually comes into view as you ascend up to the main living level, revealing the pool and that outdoor gathering space. When you reach the top of that stair, you're at the living wing, which includes the living room, dining room, kitchen, and a family room. The living wing has a fairly open plan, though we do have notches that define each space and bring light and desert wildlife and views of boulders deeper into those rooms. Meanwhile, on the courtyard side, it's fairly transparent. There we have a large sliding door so that we can really connect the interior spaces to the exterior. An outdoor trellis at that large sliding door provides some shade and softens that transition from those indoor spaces to a protected outdoor dining space with an integrated outdoor kitchen. That pool terrace continues seamlessly over the top of the garage where we have a roof deck. And on that top of the garage, we also have a planter that will serve as a border on all sides so that you're set back from that edge, and it provides a lot more privacy from that roof deck to lot 5. The height of that pool terrace in the living wing was something we studied a lot, and we really set it at a level that would allow the people on the pool deck to, when they're seated or in the pool, not be seen from the street, but at the same time not be too high. And it also gave us a roof line of that living wing that would block the views from lot 7 above. So it was a kind of a tricky balance trying to find that sweet spot. So from that main pool level, continuing the circulation around this U-shaped house, you descend about half of a flight to a smaller, more intimate outdoor terrace with a fireplace tucked behind a wall to block the wind and block views from the anyone on the street. Descending another half flight, you find yourself in front of the guest house. So you can see the circulation kind of goes all the way around. As Glenn showed you, the building's material palette is concrete, painted metal, glass, and the Shosugiban siding in a deep gray. And our landscape is intended to be very minimal, intended to look and feel like the natural desert setting to help the project feel well integrated with the site and blend seamlessly with the desert and the surrounding properties. Now I'll try to share my screen and see if I can bring up the landscape plan. Okay, is that showing for everyone?
Yeah.
Okay. I can pause on some of the drawings as well if I noticed Glenn's version looked a little fuzzy. I don't know if mine do as well, but this is just a site plan with floor plan. So here you see that circulation spine I spoke of, which was sort of a central piece to the design. That's a roof plan. Solar panels are located on this sloping roof, sort of towards the back. We studied this in 3D, of course, to make sure that neighbors obviously can't see it and we wouldn't be able to see it from our pool terrace. Okay, here's landscape. So this is a planting plan. Let me know if you want me to zoom in on anything here.
Jill, just give us
zoom in
kind of
on
a
the
walk
plant
around of
palette.
what the different materials are and what the concept is.
With the plants?
Yeah, with the plants.
Okay. This is the part I don't know as well. So she has, goodness, some trees at the perimeter, desert museum and 36-inch desert museum on the corners here. So we wanted maybe to have a few here to provide a shade, provide a little privacy from our garage and driveway from lot 5. Sean can speak more to what's happening on this facade. His office was kind enough to send us a floor plan early, or it wasn't actually a floor plan, but it sort of gave us an indication of where doors and windows would be. So it looked like they didn't have a major view of what was going on here, but nonetheless, we're trying to add a few trees down here. I do want to point out in the front here, we do plan to sort of carefully arrange some boulder clusters to this wall here along the stair does a pretty good job of concealing anything happening up here if someone's walking by. We only really have kind of a narrow gap here where passersby can see someone standing up on this pool terrace, but with some boulders, we think we can kind of diminish that a little bit, you know, privacy in both directions. So spread around here, we have desert agaves, artichoke agaves, some barrel cactus, desert spoon, creosote bush, night blooming cereus, and sky blue yucca. You know, a lot of the barrel cactus are focused around here, around the entrance. Plants are intended to be quite natural and random and extremely organic, and arranged so that the landscape portion of our site really blends seamlessly with the area around it. We're right up against the boulder, the rock berm around the Desert Palisades area back here. So that's what we have as our sort of terminating this edge.
So
Jill, is there a lighting plan?
Landscape lighting, yes. That's her irrigation. Oh. Sorry, I haven't looked at her landscape in a while.
I'll just make one comment on the landscape.
Sure.
In the plant palette, it looks like they've noted 1 or 2 species available for the same symbol. And I would just recommend that there could be a mix of the Palo Verde and the ironwood trees.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Jill, any more comments for your presentation?
No.
We'll get back to you with questions. Thanks.
Okay.
Right now is for public comments. Do we have anybody from the public who would like to comment on this particular project?
Joe, can you unshare?
Yes.
Okay, having none, then questions from the committee for the applicant.
Maybe.
Yep.
Yep. You've got I think you've got your civil engineer on the phone or on the
Yes.
helpline there. Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he can jump in and talk about there's a flow line running through the north from west to east there.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want to know, Sean?
What happens if I didn't ask, I'd get crucified. So what happens on that east end, how you have your retention, and then that natural historical flow line continues its path down to the lots below it, 5, 4, 3, so on.
You are correct. We retain our incremental difference and allowed to pass through the natural amount of water that continues down that. So basically we just slow it down.
Sorry, before you go any further, Alan, that Jill, is that you controlling that screen?
No,
it's me.
Oh, can we look at along the northern rear of that property just a bit? Yeah, because what we're talking about is kind of running through here.
So that natural flow line runs from left to right across the north side. It actually, you can see there's a dotted line. It runs a little bit lower into the house. So we've just sort of slid it north a little bit, and then created a retention basin that picks up all of our increase in water flow. And then if it does fill up, it'll overflow and continue on that natural drainage path onto the next.
I realize this is a no-build easement here through, whoops, sorry, got carried away.
I remember seeing your site plan, Sean, and that you're just trying to pick it up from there. I'm not sure what you ended up doing with it, came onto your site. But you're right, it is kind of difficult to connect the dots when we're not allowed to build in or adjust anything in the 15 feet.
My guess is that how this transitions to this, that we may just be able to work together on that and with the engineering department and renaturalize and make sure this has some continuity to it.
I think that's a great idea.
This is Rick from engineering. Could I jump in for just a second?
Yeah.
So within the Desert Palisades specific plan and within their design guidelines, there is a provision within the design guidelines and the SP that allows multiple property owners to get together and come up with a overall plan to deal with the historic site flows if you're wanting to manipulate them, just nudge them a little bit, or you're just redefining them so that they still go on their natural path. There is a provision in there that does allow multiple property owners to get together and take care of those types of things. So we're completely amenable to that. And even if we already have ongoing projects, it would be okay to submit some minor revisions to make that happen. And we're okay with that. And then within those no build easement areas, you just have to renaturalize after we're done.
Mm-hmm. Oh, thanks, Rick.
Yeah.
Anything else, Sean?
Nope.
Jill, I have a question, just a couple minor things. I see the pool equipment in the back corner of the property. How does the pool service people get to that?
How do they access that area?
Yeah.
There's an opening. The wall doesn't go completely around that area, so we'll probably make a path to get back there.
So they'll just be walking through the side yard.
Yes.
Okay. On your roof plan, you call out cool roof system with tan finish. So on the sloping roof, is the gravel the final finish that you'll see?
The cool roof, it's sort of a very fine grain. It's not actually gravel. And that roof slope is 1 in 12 and
Right.
quite far. It's far above lot 5, so there's no chance of them seeing it. You don't see it from the road, and lot 7 above, you'll see a little bit of the roof over the living room wing.
So my comment would be, you're calling out tan for the color.
Yes.
You could get something in a gray range that would tie more into the colors of the building and the natural
I
gray.
would love to change it to gray. I had read that tan was the preferred color out there, but gray would be great.
And I want to compliment you because this is one of the few houses we've seen that truly follows the pitch of the land. You took advantage of that with that gently sloping roof and the terracing rooms. It makes a lot of sense. And I love the way the bedrooms kind of cantilever off the edge, like you say, so you aren't touching the ground there.
Thank you.
Other comments or questions for the applicant?
Yeah, the one thing I had a question regarding exterior lighting in the building. In the overhangs, do we have exterior lighting that's visible?
We're doing, huh?
No, our plan is to use wall-mounted cylinders that point down. So it'll be very indirect and won't provide glare.
Okay, great, thanks.
John Walsh. John, we can't hear you again. Oh, I think you're still muted.
Can you hear me now?
There you go, yes.
Okay, thank you. In your presentation, Jill, do I understand correctly that
John, you're faced away from your microphone, so we can't hear you.
the finished floor of the kitchen and the living room is flush with the terrace of the pool, correct?
Correct.
And that is also flush with the planted adjacent garden area next to the pool, right?
Yes, that's actually, to elaborate on that a bit, we have a planter around over the roof. We've determined the level of that roof structure low enough that we're going to do a waterproof membrane, pedestals, and then pavers. And in the center, we're thinking pavers or maybe turf. So that we have this little lawn.
Yeah.
And then around the perimeter, we'll do a steel planter that's about 18 inches deep, just so you're always set away from that edge a bit. And then at the back edge, we have 18 inches of glass to complete our guardrail height.
Yeah, yeah. It's ambitious and complicated. There's a lot going on there, but it looks like it could be quite successful. I was not clear. You talked about the sweet spot in terms of a height differentiation, and I wasn't sure if that was a higher plane as opposed to the pool, but that is not the case.
It's all at the same level. The sweet spot I was talking about was trying to set, I mean, this is what drove everything, is what level do we want to set the pool terrace at?
Yes.
And the living wing, so that you're not looking so far down on the street below that the house feels a little overpowering. This house is all about being understated and sitting into the site, but not to be so low that everyone sees everything you do. I think it's a challenge a lot of projects out there where, you know, everybody has to grapple with. So that was a driver, a beginning point, a starting point for all of the other levels.
You have incorporated a great deal of overhang on some key pieces of glass. The one that I would kind of wonder about is effectively.
John, you go in and out a little bit. I think maybe.
Sorry, you
microphone.
have effectively done an overhang in the kitchen and the dining area, but it does not continue on that south wall, and you've got quite a bit of exposed south glass in that
hallway
corridor, and I just, you know, that's going to be a cooker.
It's true. That's one place we did not incorporate an overhang. We tried to protect most other windows, but
excuse me, it would certainly give you a more shaded terrace area there.
That's
Just
true.
A thought.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Okay, any other questions from the committee for the applicant? Thank you, Jill.
Thank you.
I don't know if I asked earlier, but do we have any public comments? Anybody in the waiting room wanted to comment on this particular project?
I believe you did, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thanks. Okay, committee discussion.
I just have a couple comments.
Sure, Tom.
Regarding the landscape and grading plan. I think I would like to see that the grading plan is more integrated into the landscape plan so that the boulder placements and groupings will work with the contours or more naturalize the contours that are shown on the grading plan. They seems like there's a little bit of a disconnect between where that retention basin is out front and the boulder placement on the landscape plan.
And I want to take that a little further and say it's not really possible to review the landscaping or the lighting because the plans really aren't very complete. So I think it might make sense that we have a subcommittee to review the more complete landscape submittal along with the grading. Other comments?
I guess I have some.
Sean.
In terms of roof penetrations with this, like vent pipes and things like that, are those going to be visible? Seems like they would be fairly visible in the street because of the slope.
Am I allowed to speak now?
Sure, yes, please.
Yeah, it's a question.
Okay. So from the the elevation of that roof, especially at the bedroom wing from the street. We've studied it and it's too far above that street. You can't, I don't think you'll see anything on top of that. And likewise, I mean, if you look at some of the perspective views, it's still quite far above you. I mean, like the lowest, the primary bedroom is the close to the lowest floor level that we have in all of our volumes. And that is still, I think our floor level is maybe 10 feet above the floor level shown on lot 5. So there really is a lot of grade change here. And
are your neighbors gonna see them down a little bit?
On lot 7?
More 5.
No, I don't think, I mean, the floor level is 10 feet, 10 feet above lot 5. So I think it'd be pretty tough to see the vents.
Okay.
Any other comments? I think it's a great looking project. I really appreciate the way you were able to create privacy around the pool. It's unique and I compliment you. Any other comments? Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Sean?
I'll make a motion to recommend this project for approval.
Do we have a second?
Second.
John Walsh. Sean, can we amend your motion to say
Sure.
that we would have a subcommittee to look at the more complete landscape and grading plans?
Yeah, and you may note along with Tom Dosey's comments of updating the grading plans with the landscape plans and site plan.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Now creating a subcommittee. I think have one target in my eyes, has to be Tom Dosey.
Yeah, I'm happy to serve on that subcommittee.
Okay, who wants to work along with Tom?
I'll work with him.
John McCoy.
Great.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And we are now on to item number 4. Richard Meany, owner for a major architectural application to construct a 4,000 square foot single family residence on a hillside lot located at 2085 Desert Flower Court. May we have a staff report, please?
Thank you, Chair. Let me just switch things around here and pull up the presentation. All right, you able to see that, or is it?
Yes, no, that's full screen.
Okay, full screen, great. So this is another Desert Palisades house at 2085 Desert Flower Court, which is a, for planning standards, is basically a cul-de-sac where it ends up fronting off of another street. So in looking at the aerial photograph of the site, the lot has street frontages on 3 sides. So Celestial Court on the upper side, City View Drive, and then Desert Flower Court, which is basically a. So in looking at the current topography, Celestial Court sits 16 feet above Desert Flower Court. So there's a large grade difference between the upper street to lower street. One other thing to point out is there's a large box culvert that transfers water underneath Celestial Court onto this property and then down onto Desert Flower Court. So I just wanted to point out the existing conditions today. So as in the previous presentation, there are several 3D drawings that show the design of the house, which is a simple front facade along City View Drive. One thing to point out is because of the grade difference, there is a combination of retaining at the top of the lot, and then as it goes towards Desert Flower and the box culvert, the wall gets lower. But as you can see here, there are minimal windows that face City View Drive, and you round the corner towards Desert Flower Court, you'll see that the house becomes more open in a U shape with the public recreational activities in the middle, and a pool sits towards the Desert Flower Court. And also in this photograph, you'll see that we are showing the retaining wall that slopes down to a private patio that's off of the bedroom. Once again, the views are to the east, which is towards the Down Valley area. So in a site plan, this shows the pool with the U-shaped house, the retaining wall and other walls that we had talked about along the western side, and the garage for the house is tucked underneath the main portion of the house so that it does terrace down the side of the hill, including a landscape plan which shows use of Palo Verdes, ironwoods, and other desert plants around all sides of the house that face the street. So materials that are proposed are a western red cedar and a black color, a dark color, board form concrete, tile floors, sand finish concrete for retaining walls, and then aluminum frames, and then natural landscape. The plans also include showing the height of the maximum height of the building and how it sits below Celestial Court to the top. So the maximum height of the house is 14 feet from the natural grade. Once again, this shows the pillow or the area as to where the house would sit. There are also cross sections that show the location of the garage underneath the house. That also includes mechanical equipment and so forth. So when we get to the lighting plan that's proposed, staff feels that there could be a pullback on some of these lights. They're requesting 10 uplights and then 22 accent lights around the site. The applicant may rethink and eliminate lights. And then there's a grading plan that shows how the lot is graded and keeping away from the box culvert and providing several retaining areas, including where the driveway is and at the base of the pool area. So Chair, that concludes my report, and the applicant is here along with their engineer and architect.
Thank you, Glenn. Are there any questions from committee members for the staff? Okay, seeing none, would the applicant please give us your name and a presentation? You have 10 minutes.
Hi, I'm Rich Maney. I'm the applicant. Jorge Garcia, Ben Huerta, and Alan Sanborn are here to give you the presentation.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, hello everybody. My name is Jorge Gracia. Well, I'm sorry about my speaking. Okay, I'll try to be as clear as possible. So basically, it's the first project we do in the city. I'd like to first say that I'm very happy as a team here to work on this project in the city of Palm Springs, and we wanted a house that it could be very simple in form, that we wanted to be one story. The lot is very difficult because it's steep, but we try to make it to go with the land, but at the same time try to achieve the one story. We try to hide the garage as much as we could from the cul-de-sac, with the pool also to be able to hide it below the house. And the materiality, we are thinking of using Western red cedar, burnt wood with the Japanese technique. We're using a formboard concrete in a brown color, not gray. And well, in general, I don't know if you have any questions. I think the explanation of the house was previously done. I don't know if you have any questions for it.
Okay, thank you, Jorge. We will have questions in a minute. Right now is at the point where we can take public comments. Is there anybody in the waiting room who has any comments to make on this project? Okay, it appears not. Questions from the committee of the applicant. Any committee members have questions?
Yeah, I'm not seeing a solar panel layout. Is there one provided?
No, I don't think so. No, we didn't provide.
We will be providing solar.
Not yet.
My question is that in the bedrooms, there's absolutely zero overhang over the glass. It's pretty extreme with nothing to protect the glass both from sun and from rain or other elements. Was there ever a consideration given to trying to work some sort of eyebrows or overhangs into the design here?
Well, we did that not on the bedrooms. We did it on the social area, kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that. We looked at it. We are maximizing the footprint, and we're already all the way into our setback, and we wanted to keep the volume as clean as possible, and that's why we did that. We wanted like a very, very clean volume. That was the reason mainly.
Okay, thank you. Other questions for the applicant? Okay, if we have no other questions, we can have committee discussion. Thank you, Jorge.
Thank you.
Comments and questions and ideas, thoughts?
I'll just make a quick comment.
Yes,
When I took
Tom.
a look at the landscape and lighting plans, I agree with staff's comments. Not only on the quantity of fixtures, but if I understand the key properly, the 9 LED would be a very, very bright light. And I would request that the applicant take a look at the wattages, and a 3 LED gives you a lot of power. 6 LED gives you quite a bit, but 9, I feel that it would be too much lighting up on that hillside.
Thank you. Other comments? Sean, do you have anything?
No.
Okay, thank you, John. I saw you raised your hand. Oh, we can't hear you again. John, you're muted.
Better?
There you go.
Thank you. I understand from the presentation, the attempt and the goal is one of simplicity. And Miesian simplicity kind of comes with a level of care to detail, and I'm just not sure we have achieved that here. I would echo what Chairman Jakeway is commenting on with respect to the lack of overhang. These look kind of like tough spaces to live in. I'm not quite sure what areas of glass open and what don't. And I kind of make the assumption that there's not much that opens up. This is it's not, I don't think it's really achieving what you intended it to do.
Thank you. Other comments?
I just have one. Do I?
All right.
My first time. Do I need to respond to all this? I don't know.
You may.
Sorry.
Yes, you may respond.
Okay, sorry. No. I think it's I can consider part of it. Yeah, we did a sun study, and it does. We were thinking of having a dual glaze and curtains and stuff to cover a little bit. But I do agree with your comment.
Thank you. Any other comments? I'm in thinking along some of the lines that John was mentioning, that the detailing, it might be really good, but we just don't see it. And I think if there were some undulation to the flat, very flat surfaces of the exterior of the house, and that could be created by some eyebrows, metal, maybe a metal fascia instead of the burnt wood around an eyebrow, something to just break it a little bit out of the very boxy form. I mean, I can understand the concept of a very simple, very straightforward building, and that might work in a field in Pennsylvania, but here in the desert where we have such weather extremes, I think there might need to be a little more recognition of protecting the windows, creating some shadow lines, and creating a little more interest.
Yeah, the only one that I like to keep is to keep the monochromatic, the only one material.
Okay.
So I'll try to have better conditions for the solar orientation, not orientation, but for the eyebrows or so, but not with another material. I'll try to make it with the same material.
Okay. Other committee comments? Do we have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, can this be continued?
Certainly, if we make that a motion.
I think I would like to make a motion to continue this project review.
And maybe explain a bit more what you'd like to see in a resubmittal?
Absolutely. I think the list would include some conscious sensitivity about the intense solar gain that that is being set up here with these elevations. The next thing I would say is some understanding graphically of what areas of glass realistically look like they open, and if they do open, is there a guardrail so the adjacent area you're protected from falling or whatever, because it looks like some of those things need to open, but it hasn't been fully thought through.
Do we have a second?
And Chair, we wanted to include the lighting comments.
Yes.
Yes, the landscape lighting comments. Do we have a second?
And I'd like to include, because I'm still unclear on the roof plan. I don't really think there is one that shows, the location of solar panels and drainage. I didn't see it anywhere.
Okay, are you making a second with adding that to the motion?
I'd like to add that.
Okay. Any other comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any
Aye.
opposed? Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, that concludes our agenda. Do any committee members have comments? We are dark in August, so we will be back together the first week of September, right after Labor Day. It's a Tuesday meeting. Mr. Newell, any comments from you or staff for us to know?
You may have seen in the news today that the city manager has resigned. So just wanted to let that committee know that that has occurred. If you hadn't seen the news yet, so it looks like council will be conducting a new search for the city manager. And yeah, the only other thing I had was enjoy your August. Stay cool.
David, a quick question. On one of our previous documents, Flynn was listed as deputy city manager.
Yeah.
Will he be filling in temporarily, do we know, or do we know what's going to be happening?
We don't know the details at this point. So at this point, until we hear more, I would assume Justin will be here for the next 60 days. So he'll be, working through that the next couple of months, and then I'm sure more will come out.
Okay, well, everybody stay cool. We'll see you in September.
Yeah, you too.
Thank you.
See
Have a good summer.
soon. Bye.
Everybody.